Hey y'all, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren, I'm your host, and today we have a great guest, Mr. Russ Jones from Smoky Ribs BBQ YouTube channel. I've been following Russ on YouTube for a long time now. He's been doing it for a long time. So help me welcome Mr. Russ Jones from Smoky Ribs BBQ.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Hey all, before we get on to the show, I want to talk to you for a second about Instacart. Instacart's a great service that allows you to do all your grocery shopping online, and they can get you your groceries in as fast as 1 hour. They connect you with personal shoppers in your area that know your markets, and they can get them from your favorite stores. They find all the great buys and smart suggestions for you online to save you money. They pick the freshest produce, and they check your eggs and make sure they're not cracked. Check them out, guys. Instacart is offering free delivery on your first order of over $35 in the link below. Check them out. And now, on to the show. Welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren, I'm your host. And today we have another great guest. One of my favorite YouTube channels to watch is Russ Jones with Smoky Ribs BBQ. Been watching Russ's videos for a long time now, and it's a pleasure to have him on. Welcome, Russ. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Darren. My name is Russ Jones. I'm from the Mississippi Gulf Coast right here in Biloxi, Mississippi. I am employed with HII Ingalls Shipbuilding. We build some of the Navy's finest ships in the world. I am a pipe welding foreman in our pipe shop there. And the YouTube is my sideline. That's what I do for not just recreation, but for extra income as well. And something that I've really have fallen in love with over the last 7 years. And basically, that's it. What else you want to know about me?
Well, let's talk about how you got started with cooking. So you said you've been a welder, so it wasn't part of your career. You weren't a chef or working in restaurants, pretty much. So how did you get involved in cooking as a hobby?
I've had a passion for cooking for as long as I can remember. I was like one of these typical young boys that loved the whole notion about camping outdoors and fishing and some hunting, not really so much when I was younger, but a lot of fishing. But I camped in the backyard. That's how it all started. And along with camping, you got to know how to cook. So I would study my mother in the kitchen, and she would help me out, tremendously. She'd show me every little thing she was doing. And from that, I actually learned how to cook from her, watching her. And something about cooking outdoors just really intrigued me. Now, with that said, my dad never owned a barbecue pit, never owned a smoker or anything like that. So really that came later as far as barbecue, smoking meats and such as that. Not that I was a stranger to it. My dad would go to these little roadside barbecue shacks and bring home some of the best barbecue you ever want to have in your life. So we grew up on it. We just didn't do it ourselves. All that came later. Like when I left home, first thing I did was bought a grill, and from there it started growing. The love and passion for that just kind of grew over time.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I'm originally from upstate New York, like right on Lake Ontario. I grew up there till I was like 15, and I moved to Florida. But where I grew up, there wasn't low and slow barbecue. It was pretty much they grilled everything. They grilled chicken a lot, so it was burgers, dogs, grilled chicken, and so there really wasn't a lot of pork butt or brisket or ribs or anything like that. So I'm the same way. When I moved to Florida, when I got a little older, is when I started learning how to do the low and slow and barbecue and expanding that. So I can relate to that. So how much of influence did your mom's cooking have on what you do?
Quite a bit. I do a lot of things outside of barbecue on my channel. I always have. It's basically the stuff I grew up on, or Southern style cuisine, gumbos, jambalas, a lot of seafood dishes. being born and raised right here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, right, the Gulf Coast is our backyard, some of the best seafood in the world. And she had a lot of influence on a lot of what I still do.
So since you're in Mississippi, right next to Louisiana, I guess you do still have a lot of Cajun influence in the local cuisine there, correct?
Oh yeah, it crosses right over. I'm like 1 hour, well, hour and a half from New Orleans, and that style of cooking is very prevalent right here in Biloxi. Biloxi at one time was like a for the aristocrats in New Orleans. This is like their weekend retreat, so it's heavily influenced by that culture over there, and it really shows, in the cooking and the cuisine. You can go to a seafood restaurant here, and you get that Cajun influence or New Orleans influence more than Cajun. And yeah, it's very prevalent.
Yeah, I think there's a difference, and you go to Louisiana or New Orleans, and there's a difference between Cajun and Creole. I mean, I know it's similar, but I think there's some kind of difference. Do you know what the difference is between Cajun and Creole cooking?
Cajun cooking is really what we term here in Mississippi as country cooking. It's like their country style of cooking. Where New Orleans, it's like a melting pot of a lot of different cultures, including the Creole. You got a strong German influence there, Italian, like with the muffalettas and such as that. But Creole is a lot of more tomato based and okra and stuff. Hence, like a New Orleans style gumbo is going to have tomatoes in it, and that's the way we make it. And you show that to a Cajun, like in Acadia country, and they're going to blast you for putting tomatoes in a gumbo, And there are some differences, but to me, New Orleans has got some of the best cuisine in the world. They really do it up right.
Yeah, I love New Orleans. I've been there a couple times, and I really love the diversity of the food. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. Creole is more of the stuff you get in northern Louisiana, back on in the swamps. The real Cajun stuff. The Creole stuff is where they kind of take that and mix it with other methods, like maybe some French or Italian, cooking styles as well. And I think Creole itself, the name of it just kind of means a mixture. So, but yeah, I love New Orleans. The diversity of the restaurants there is what gets me, is that you have all kinds of food there, and most of it's top notch.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
So what's the restaurant or the culinary inspiration there in Biloxi? Is it mostly that, or is it a mixture of Southern and Creole and different types of cooking?
Yeah, it's a mixture. You can find just about anything here. Of course, seafood being on the top, But we have barbecue places around here as well. Matter of fact, the Shed, I think everybody's heard of the Shed. It's kind of, it was on Food Network, and it grew into fame on its own. And oh heck, it's probably about 5 minutes from where I live, And then there's a few barbecue restaurants on the Highway 90 strip right there in Biloxi. But predominantly, I'm gonna say seafood is what really rules around here.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your videos where you actually go out on your boat and do some fishing and all that. Now, do you usually go out and get a lot of your own seafood?
We have, mainly fish. We love to fish, love to cook fish, love to eat fish. Matter of fact, my youngest son was fishing yesterday while I was shooting a video with my oldest son, and he comes back with a nice chest with speckled trout and a few mullet. And my oldest son, the camera guy that helps me, he went to filleting fish right in the middle of this cook, so he could take them back and cook them on the boat last night. But yeah, I normally buy like shrimp and crab. I normally buy that. And we got seafood markets, but with shrimp, I normally buy those right off the boat, just as fresh as they can be.
Yeah, I think you got to have some special equipment to go out and get shrimp on your own. It's probably a little bit more easier to go out and just drop a line to get some fish than it is to actually go out and try to get shrimp out of the Gulf. So I'd like to leave it to
Absolutely.
the professionals. So
That's right. You got to have the the right boat and everything, you know. Now, with that said, certain times of the year, which this is the time of the year, you can go up under the 110 overpass interstate there, and they have some docks built, and people will throw braille nets and catch white shrimp. You can actually do that and fill up ice chests, but that's very seasonal, you know. So I don't do that much. We have done it, you know, but like I said, I normally just buy them because they're very inexpensive if you get them off the boats compared to the seafood markets.
So Biloxi, I think they have a couple casinos there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's Casino Road right down 90 from if you go over the Ocean Springs Bridge, that's going to be your first casino, and they don't stop until you get into like Long Beach, Bay St. Louis, you know. They're sporadic all down through there. And it's changed a lot from when I was a kid.
Now, is it still? I think when they first started doing it, they had to be like on a barge or on the water somehow. Is that
Yeah,
still like that?
no, since Hurricane Katrina, and you know, it took and lifted these casinos and threw them across Highway 90 and just devastated them, destroyed them. And since then, they're now allowed to build on the north side of 90, you know, on land, and they got certain guidelines they got to meet, you know, so many feet off the water, and they've got to be so high to allow for water to rush under them, and things like that. Now, some are still built on the south side, you know, it's really up to the casino owner, but they do have that ability now to build on the land.
So let's get back into your cooking history. How long before you started your YouTube channel were you into cooking? You know, really as a hobby.
I tell you what, it goes back to, like I said earlier, I bought my first grill when I first got married at 19 years old. And, you know, I started off with a grill, and then I bought, I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of like a Weber Smoky Mountain, but it was called a Cajun cooker or something like that. It was a bullet style smoker with a water pan. And I used to do all kind of smoking on that thing, you know, and we'd always have couples over like on weekends to grill steaks, burgers, just whatever. It's just something I truly enjoyed. And sometimes, you know, these videos can get to where I don't want to say get old. It's a lot of work involved. And sometimes I'll just take a weekend off, and we'll come out here and fire up the grill smoker and just kick back and relax without any cameras involved, because I missed that part of it, the love of it, you know. And you can't always get that when you're doing a production of video, you know, because you're more keyed in on the video and you're cooking. You're wearing all these different hats trying to make this happen, to where you're kind of losing sight of what made you love this to start with, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I understand it because I have my own channel as well. So, but let's talk about, since your dad wasn't a barbecue pit master, and your mom did mostly, you know, indoor cooking, where did you get your inspiration? Where did you learn from? Did you, you know, look up a lot of stuff online? I mean, how long ago did this go back? Because, you know, me and you
Yeah,
aren't spring chickens. So,
no, I'm not. Matter of fact, I turned 61 in December, and but Lord, like I said, this started when I was 19, and a lot of it was trial and error. You know, books. I own tons and tons of cookbooks, many being barbecue books, and some of those date way back to the 70s. You know, so of course, a lot of reading, a lot of trial and error, and just that passion, that drive to do it is what makes you better. You know, it's true with anything you do in life. If you want to be good at it, then you're going to research it, and you're going to learn all you can about it. And just, what's the old term, practice makes perfect, you know. But
yeah, I understand that. And like I said, you know, back before there was the YouTube or the internet, you know, is when I started cooking. So it either had to come from learning from somebody else, or, you know, going through, you know, regular cookbooks that, you know, made out of paper, you
right,
know,
right.
or, you know, you could watch something of, you know, on TV, you know, PBS might have a couple shows, but you didn't even have the Food Network and stuff until, you know, after the, you know, 90s pretty much. So,
Oh yeah.
uh,
When that did hit the scene, the Food Network, man, I was just glued. I would make my wife and family so mad because when I come in from work, I want to watch the Food Network, and I had my favorite channels, Emerald Lagasse being one of them, on the, I think it was as Emerald Live when it came out. I loved it the best, and watched it religiously. And I still do, I watch like diners, drive-ins, and dives, and I do that more for inspiration more now than anything else. And another thing that did for me by watching things like diners, drive-ins, and dives is I've got to where I started studying the filming of that more so than paying attention to the recipes to kind of get better at editing my videos. Watching how it flows and watching the different camera angles and where they inject music, when they don't inject music, little things like that. And that was a big help in helping me, be better at editing videos. And so it had a plus there too.
Yeah, I can relate with that. And I've had other YouTubers on, like Greg from Ballistic Barbecue and John from Man Cave Meals. And it's pretty much the same. You start off not knowing a whole lot, just trying to provide something to help other people learn how to cook or to get something out there that makes you feel good about trying to help other people. And you slowly teach yourself how to edit videos and do more of the production type stuff. And, I even had this discussion with Malcolm Reed. If you go back and look at his, videos he did back, 9 years ago, they're totally different from what he does now. But like he said, it's, depends on back then, his goal was totally different. It was just, he was doing the competitions and he was just trying to record what happened in the competitions and stuff, mostly for his own personal use or for his friends. And then slowly over time, it got to, well, I want to start helping other people. So he start taking that editing and putting the whole production together a little bit more serious, and you start working on that stuff. And now his videos are excellent production quality now. So but I think we all do that. We all start out learning, and you can see that, and you can see the progressives. If you look at the videos from when you started to now, it's totally different. And even with me,
Oh yeah, those early videos really are embarrassing to me, but I leave them up, because it kind of reminds me how far I've came from then.
well, and I think your followers will also see that it makes you more of a real person and not somebody that's not. That's why
Exactly.
I leave mine up too, because when I started, it was I was still trying to figure out my style, what I was going to do, how I was going to I started out just editing and in iMovie and stuff, and not putting a whole lot of other stuff into it. So, but I think it makes your followers appreciate that as well, that you actually start taking it more seriously. You start learning more and how to make the videos better and edit better. And like you said,
Yeah.
when you start, looking at other videos and even TV productions and see not just what they're cooking, but how they're filming it, that knows you're doing something right.
Exactly. That's right.
So yeah, I mean, I do the same thing with watching the Food Network shows and other YouTubers videos, not to duplicate the recipe, but to kind of put your own spin on it. So you get different ideas. Like you said, watching diners, Triple D, diners, drive-ins, and dives, see some of the stuff that others have come up with and go, hey, that's a good idea, but maybe I could tweak it a little bit here and there. But you definitely didn't have that back, when I was in my 20s and 30s. It was pretty much, you had to, whatever you stumbled across, in a book or
Yeah.
what have you. So it does, I think the internet, the cable TV, and all the access that we have now helps people get more into cooking. And I think that's why you see people, a lot more foodies, a lot more people interested in cooking themselves, and all this different innovation that comes with that in the barbecue and kitchen products, because people are a lot more interested in it, because there is a lot more access. There's a lot more venues for them to find content. And I think YouTube is a big part of that.
Yeah, it is. And, food in general, that's like the universal language that regardless of where you live on this earth, we have that in common with each other. different styles, different techniques, but it all comes down to good food, good eats, and always different cooking techniques. And I get intrigued by that sometime here. Just in the last month, I was really getting into it's about the time I got my Santa Maria grill that I was really doing a lot of research on like Argentine style cooking and like they do in Brazil and things like that. And it's really neat to watch that. I found some shows on Amazon Prime that I would just sit there and watch for hours, just intrigued by it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like Netflix and all that, with all these shows where they go around the world and look at the different cuisines, and they go to some of these Asian countries to the street vendors that are just they stand there for 18 hours straight cooking, and some of the stuff that they come up with is better than you can find in some of the 5-star restaurants around.
Oh yeah,
So I
absolutely.
mean, I think with all the different, like I said, all the different ways that we can consume that type of entertainment now, it just makes people more and more interested in cooking for themselves, but also eating and being foodies. I think that's one of the reasons why it's growing so fast.
That and it's a real big social thing. You know what I'm saying? Like having people over, like for big barbecues, cookouts, and that's kind of like we do crawfish bowls every spring, and you can actually get a lot better bargain like doing boiled shrimp versus boiled crawfish, but it's more of a community social event. You invite all these people over and everybody's just hanging out, having a good time, and nobody's getting full off of crawfish. It's a social thing. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and back where I'm from, like I said, upstate New York, they didn't have barbecue per se, but every summer the local volunteer fire departments would have these chicken cooks, and the chicken is called Cornell chicken. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's
I
similar
have.
to it's
Hmm.
similar to like Alabama, white sauce.
Yeah.
It's it's got apple cider vinegar, and it's a mayonnaise based type sauce, but they would have these big, cookouts at the local fire station. It was to raise money for them, but it was like a big event. Like they had like a little mini fair for each one of them in these little small towns, and they would cook up just like hundreds of pounds of chicken, and that way. And the way they cooked it, it was kind of like on a big charcoal pit grill, and they put them in these big racks that you could flip over. They would just cook on each side, and they would just like cook it for an hour and a half on one side, then flip it and finish cooking it, and then serve it up. But that
Right.
was always the big thing in the summertime, was let's go to that big cookout, and everybody would, like you said, come and eat and hang out and talk and socialize with the neighbors and help support the fire station and all that. So that's my memories as a kid. So
Yeah, great memories. That sounds like a lot of fun too. I know y'all look forward to that every year.
well, and even nowadays with the state fairs coming in, one of the biggest attractions to the state fair is what kind of weird food are they going to come up with that you can try. So food's definitely a big thing to everybody. So
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, so let's talk about what's your favorite thing that you like to cook, whether it's inside or outside. So just like your number one thing that you really look forward to cooking on your own.
Even though it might not be my favorite thing to eat, which it is, I love barbecue. Barbecue would have to be my favorite to cook. Anytime I can fire up one of my smokers or grills, I'm happy. And and with that said, it's not necessarily my favorite thing to eat. I think seafood is probably my top above all, and a lot to do with that is the fact that I was raised on it. But barbecue, I would say low and slow, anything, brisket, pork butt, ribs. Those three is one of my favorites.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I probably one of my favorite things to cook and eat is barbecue chicken. Just to make a nice smoked chicken. There's
Hmm.
nothing like it. I mean, I could eat a pile of it all day
Oh yeah,
long.
yeah,
And
chicken too. I enjoy that as well. Sure do.
but
And we're coming up on November here real quick, so turkey's gonna be in the equation as well. Smoked turkey, and I want to do a deep fried turkey. I took a video down that was very popular. I had my reasons for taking that down here a couple of years ago, but I said I've got to remake that. Cajun fried deep turkey.
It's one of the things I've never done. I've never deep fried a turkey, and one of these days I said I'm going to do it, but I can't go ahead and buy into stuff yet. I don't know. It's hard for me to invest in something that I might only use once or twice a year. So, but I still got to do one. I'm going to do one eventually because I always hear how great they are, and they're really popular nowadays. But I just never have, for some reason, ever done it. I like to smoke turkeys. I like to cook them in regular in the oven. I've done them sous vide for some videos and stuff, but I've just never done a deep fried turkey. But I guess I will someday.
Yeah, they're good. They got a really nice crispy skin on them, and of course they're injected with these Cajun seasonings, and they're just super juicy on the inside, a lot of flavor. It's a good technique, and it can get expensive for the mere fact you got to buy so much of the cooking oil, the peanut oil, to fry it in. The pot can be used for other things, you know what I'm saying? So invest it in the pot, no big deal, but it does get expensive. So I'd recommend, if you're going to do a deep fried turkey, go ahead and do 3 or 4 of them with that grease, and give them out or whatever, because you don't want to waste all that oil, and once you use it, and if it sits too long, it just goes rancid.
Yeah, and that's probably another reason why I haven't done it, is because of the fact that it is a lot of oil waste. But you see all these videos where people, put it in when it's frozen and it blows up on them, or the oil spills into the gas, propane fire, and it catches fire. Yeah. And I mean, every year you got a lot of, and they're always in the news because,
that's one reason I want to redo that video, just to educate people that's never done it, to have a source to go look at. Number one rule is get out in the middle of your yard, towards the back of your yard, away from the house or any structure, any trees, because anything is possible, so.
Yeah, you see them where people burn their house down just trying to make a turkey.
Yeah,
but but then again, it's those people, like you said, that haven't done in their research first. They just think they can just go throw a frozen turkey into a vat of oil and and have a good result,
Yeah.
But you see that. I see that even on the Facebook groups, even in my Facebook groups, with sous vide and barbecue, is people just, for some reason, they think they know what they're doing. They make something up in their head, and they'll, hey, this is what I did. And you're like, well, where did you even get that information to even try that? Because it doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever as far as, being safe, even thinking of coming out with a good result.
Right.
You'll have even though there's all the information that we do have now at our fingertips online and stuff, people will just, fly by the seat of their pants sometimes.
They'll bypass all that and just think they know exactly what to do, and then tragedy sets in.
I guess you get that with everything, but cooking's no different than working on a car or whatever. I guess.
Exactly. That's right.
All right, Russ. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back, and we'll get into talking about your YouTube channel and all that. So we'll be right back with Russ Jones from Smoky Ribs Barbecue. Hey, y'all, it's Darren, and today I want to talk about the Inkbird Wi-Fi Rainproof 4 Pro Barbecue Thermometer that's brand new. The IBBQ4T has a rechargeable battery that can last up to 26 hours once it's fully charged, and you can monitor it from pretty much anywhere with the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi that it uses. It comes with the brand new Inkbird Pro app that you can monitor your meat and the temperature of the grill from pretty much anywhere, from your house, anywhere in the house, from your office, from the store, driving down the street. Inkbird makes some really awesome barbecue products, and this one is no exception. Check it out below with the link to Amazon. You can use the code that's listed for $30 off, making it only $70. Check out Inkbird and all their products. Now back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. All right, Russ. So we talked about your history and cooking and all that. So let's get into how you got started with putting the YouTube videos out there and starting your channel. How long has your channel been around now?
I started my channel July the 12th of 2012. So what got me started, I didn't even know a barbecue or outdoor cooking community existed on YouTube. Prior to that, I would frequent YouTube every now and then just for information, like on repairing my car, my truck, whatever, or because this is a good source for things like that. And I just never knew that existed. So what happened was I was trying to figure a way to make extra money online in addition to my job. So I had started this website called Cave Mart. And what it was going to be is a source for like man cave items, and of course, grills and smokers was a big part of that. Anything man cave type thing. So through that, it got me to watching YouTube, and that's when I discovered channels like Ballistic Barbecue, Man Cave Meals. He was really rolling back in them days before he went with the Kamado Joe thing full time, and other channels. I met all these different guys doing this, and most of them started about the same time I did. They were a little bit ahead of me. Troy with T. Roy Cooks, he started, I think, like 3 months before I did. He already had videos out. And I'm looking at all this and I'm like, God, I could do this. And man, I just all of a sudden had to do it. It become a real big deal to me. I've got to do this. And all I had was an iPhone 4, which was a terrible phone for video. And the focus was jumping back and forth. The audio was no good. And that's my early videos. That's what I used, was that iPhone 4. And week after week after week, I just started putting up content. And when I first started, they had an online editor that you could access through YouTube. And later they shut that down. And I ended up getting software installed on my PC. And man, you talk about stressing a computer out. It was not built to handle video software, and I struggled with that for a couple of years and eventually moved into an iMac with Final Cut Pro. And that's what I still use today. And it just made my life so much easier. But that's what it was born out of, was actually trying to do something else. And it didn't take me long to figure out that, that website, CaveMart.com, was going to go nowhere, because everything I was offering to sell on there could be bought and purchased much cheaper at Amazon. So once that dawned on me, I said, I'm doing the YouTube thing. And that's how it started. And I'm still doing it. So there you go.
Well, that's a good history, because I kind of did the same thing a few years back. I had my own little side business. I got laid off from a job, and I'd started like just a little side business on eBay selling electronics and home theater equipment, and it started getting really popular, and I started making some money on it. And I started, that's when I got laid off. I said, well, I'm going to try to do it full time. But it just got to a point where it was so monotonous trying to sell product and keep up with it, keep up with the credit card fraud that I was getting through eBay and all this, and the extra expense, the credit card fees and PayPal fees and eBay fees. It made it to where I wasn't making a whole lot of money, and it was more of a problem than anything. I decided to get back into working for somebody else again. But when I started YouTube, it was a little bit different. Like you said, it was more of, I started it to just kind of see, I wanted to try something different. And I was mixing the barbecue and sous vide, and there was really nobody doing it on a full-time basis. Greg had done a couple videos, and Guga was out there doing just sous vide. So I said, I'm going to try to do a mixture of both. So that really started to take off, and it's a lot easier when you don't have to worry about selling a product.
Oh, yeah.
If you're just putting a video up or something like that. So providing entertainment or content is a lot easier than trying to, keep inventory and chase money and worry about extra fees and stuff from selling stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah, much easier. I agree.
But I've talked to both, John and T. Roy and Greg, and all of us seem to have started for the same reason. It was more of to help other people. It wasn't to be an internet sensation or a YouTube star. It was more of to get some of the stuff that you're doing and you trying to teach it to other people. I know that's what Troy said, that, that he started his YouTube channel to teach his son how to cook, because
Yeah.
it wasn't for other people. It was more to put a place to put the video so his son could watch them. And he said other people started watching them and telling him to produce more, and it kind of inspired him to do more. So
He grew from there. That's right. Yeah, I was 6 months into YouTube before I realized that you could even make money with it. I kept seeing this word monetization. I'm like, what is that? So one day I just took the time, I clicked on it, and that's where I learned how to become a YouTube partner and to actually get paid for my content. And I'm like, well, wow. Like I said earlier, when I did the Kmart thing, I was looking for a way to make extra money. But when I started YouTube, it wasn't about the money. It was just about me wanting to do it. I said, man, I could do this. I think I could be good at it, and I had to prove it to myself. And it definitely has had its, small, but it's been successful compared to a lot of other channels out there. So I'm happy where I'm at. Of course, I'd love to see it grow a lot bigger, but it's almost like you reach a plateau at some point, and so I've tempted to reinvent myself a time or two, but I always seem to go right back to the way I was and what got me to where I'm at. I still have a decent following, but I viewed it sometimes kind of like a TV show where it's kind of run its course, and people are not as interested in it now as what they were when it first started. I kind of see it like that, but then I stop and think. I said, well, you're getting people landing on your channel for the first time ever, so you're constantly getting new subscribers that have never watched your videos. So it really is different than a TV program. You can hang on much, much longer, I think.
Well, yeah, and some of my more popular videos are the older ones. I mean, I get more, current traffic on some of my older videos than I do the new ones, So,
Right.
I did a unboxing for the Kamado Joe Classic 2 is still one of my most popular videos, and I shot that 8 months ago. And it still comes up as, I get the most hits during the week on that video. So,
Right.
and I talked to, when I talked to Greg at Ballistic Barbecue, he's the same way. Some of his older stuff gets more traction than the newer stuff. So you're always getting new people on YouTube looking up content that are going to land on a video. It may not be the one that you just released. It may be one you did 2 years ago that
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
going to get them, interested in your channel. So, and I talked to Greg at length about, he just retired from the police force, but he's got it built up now where he is doing this full time, and it's, something that he loves to do, and it supplements his retirement income, so he's, and that's kind of what I'm looking to do is like, it's great that you can do something you love to do, and get, not rich, but at least, get a little bit of compensation for it, and not have to worry about, especially if you're on the retirement spectrum like he is. It's one of the things he was worried about, and but now he gets to do what he loves to do. He's written 2 books now, and he's getting more popular, and so I think there's a rainbow at or for us there to look at with YouTube. I think it's like you said, you're always gonna grow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And a lot of it's seasonal. Like right now, I'm going through kind of a slow period, but if it holds true like it does year after year, as we move into November, the numbers start going up drastically. And what they're looking for is Thanksgiving related videos, turkey videos. And then that'll hold all the way through Christmas. Just the numbers get really good. And that's why I'm wanting to do another deep fried Cajun turkey video and anything holiday related, really, because not only will it generate some views this year, but years going forward. Some of my old turkey videos are still every year, they just pick up dramatically, people watching it for the first time. So that's a very key thing to do for any YouTuber. And, in the cooking realm anyway, is to really focus on holidays.
Yeah, Easter, it's hams, and Christmas, it's prime rib, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's definitely, and going back to what you said when you first started looking at YouTube, that's what people still use YouTube for, is to how do I fix my washing machine? How do I install a window. You know, people still use it as a tool to see how other people, you know, solve the problem or fixed something. So
Exactly.
they use it, you know, for cooking the same way. What's the, you know, I want to smoke a turkey. How do I smoke a turkey? They go into YouTube, you know, smoking a
Yeah.
turkey, and then pops up, you know, 12 videos, you know, and mine and yours are in there, and they they don't just look at one either. They'll look at everything that pops up. So
Oh yeah, I still do that myself. You know, I did that bloomin' onion video on my last video down at the sailboat, and I was using an air fryer, and I've never used an air fryer in my life. So naturally, I went to looking at, you know, a lot of different videos, just trying to figure out how to, you know, make this somewhat successful, and it turned out good. You know, for an air fryer, I still prefer it deep fried, but overall, you know, I didn't have to scrap the video, so it was all right.
yeah. All right. So let's talk about, since you started the YouTube channel and you got more popular, you've got some interest from some companies, grill companies, and other type of grill related cooking companies that send you stuff to try out. So let's talk about all the grills you got on your patio now.
Well, I've actually sold quite a few of them as new ones were coming, you know, but I started with a little old cheap grill from Kingsford that the coal pan would raise up and down. It's kind of rectangle shape, and you would see that in my very early videos. And right off the bat, I knew I was going to have to move into a Weber because everybody and their brother was making Weber videos, you know. So that was my first purchase. Well, my second purchase was the Weber, the black, what is that, Gold Series. And I used that for a long time. And I actually won a Kamado Joe Classic off of a video contest that John Setzler put on when he had Man Cave Mills. And it was a burger contest. So I come in number one on that, and I won the Kamado Joe Classic. And I cooked on that for, I know, another 2 or 3 years. And then, you know, during that time, I had companies starting to reach out to me, like what was the one I had, Grill Dome. That was also a ceramic cooker. It had a really nice cypress table, and started making a lot of videos of that. And then I'm bouncing between that, the Kamado Joe, and the Weber. You know, they're all being shown at different times in different videos. And Napoleon, they sent me a gasser, which, you know, I've owned gas grills in the past, but it's just, as far as flavor and all, I definitely prefer charcoal wood over that. And I used it, you know, for the videos, fulfilled my obligation. I ended up selling that one. And let's see, what else have I had? Let's see, the Big Joe, the big Kamado Joe. They sent that one to me, and mainly because I had a prime rib video at the time. It had just hit 1 million views, and he's seen that where I made a post on Facebook where I hit 1 million on that. And he said, "What kind of Kamado you need? I think you're ready for an upgrade." You know, I said, "Give me the Big Joe." And so the Big Joe was on its way, you know, and that video now has over 2 million. Let's see, of course, Lone Star Grills. I've got the offset through Lone Star Grills. I've got a insulated mini, they call it, which is a cabinet style smoker through Lone Star Grills. And more recently, I've got the Santa Maria through Lone Star Grills. I love that thing. It's a lot of fun to cook on. And I've got a red Weber now. But like I said, I've sold a lot of them. I got rid of all my Kamado Joes. I got rid of the Grill Dome. The only Kamado I have now is the S&S, that Adrenaline Barbecue, which he just changed his name, I think, to S&S Grills. It's no longer Adrenaline Barbecue, but I own one of those. And I really missed not having the Kamados. When I sold them, I'm like, man, I should have hung on to one of those, because there are times in certain cooks where you just can't beat it, you know. And so I do have a Kamado again now. But primarily what you'll see me cooking on nowadays is either going to be one of the Lone Star Grills products, depending on what I'm doing, the Kamado or a Weber. And I've got it kind of down to that level, and I really don't think I need anything else. With that said, there might be a surprise coming soon in the pellet grill realm. And I do own a Camp Chef pellet grill too, as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I saw you had a pellet grill, the Camp Chef, because I got a Camp Chef too. I've been working with them, and I also got the flat top griddle that they have as well. I like that. I like that as well. But
Oh yeah.
I got the Big Joe. I actually bought my Big Joe 5-6 years ago before I even thought about doing this. And that's how I got kind of hooked up with John and his website, the Kamado Guru, and kind of been following him for years, and then got to know him a little bit. And then they got me hooked up with Kamado Joe on a Classic 2. That's what I've got now. I have had a pit barrel cooker. I had the junior model, which I did a few videos with it, but I wasn't really impressed with it because it's a smaller model than the big one. So have you used many of the UDCs or the barrel type cookers
Oh,
before?
pit barrel cooker. Yeah, I do own one of them. I've done quite a few videos using the pit barrel cooker. It's to the point I've had so many I've lost count. You know what I'm saying? What I've on. I still do have the PBC, and I will use that occasionally. You know,
Yeah,
I
that's
would
why I
like to
talked
get
to.
a. I think I would like to get a gateway at some point, and the drum smoker. They seem to
Right,
do real good. Malcolm Reed's got one. I would just purchase it. That way, I'm not under no obligation. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But it's not on my priority list, but I think somewhere down the line I'll probably end up getting one of those as well.
Yeah, I've looked at the Lone Stars. Those things look phenomenal, especially the one that you have and the one that Greg has.
Oh man, I love
And
them.
Troy's got the one I think I want. And but that Santa Maria grill that you just recently got from them, that looks killer as well. I just don't understand. I don't know if I would use it as often as I would another. And like I said, the space where I am is not going to. We're moving to a new house, and I'm going to have to actually build a deck on it because it doesn't have a. It has a very small patio, and I'm going to have to end up building a deck, and I'm not going to be able to put anything on it until I get that built. So I'm going to kind of hold back on getting anything, but yeah, that the Lone Star grills, they look phenomenal. They're built like tanks. They look like they hold heat real well. They're not the cheapy stuff like you see at Home Depot and Lowe's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm. I would love to have an outdoor kitchen. You know, right now my grills, most of them stay in the garage. I just roll them out when I get ready to shoot, and I have no cover, no permanent cover. I do have a big pop up, you know, for rain and such as that, and biggest reason I'm using it right now is just for more even light, you know, because that sun can wreak havoc on videos when you don't have a roof, you know. But me and my wife are actually looking at a place to maybe purchase that has two huge storage buildings that I could use to store all this in, and possibly build like an outdoor kitchen area with a slab and a roof. That's what I really need.
But I kind of agree with you on the gasser thing. I've got a the Camp Chef I has the gas sear box on the side that I can use for searing if I need it, and I do use that a couple times a week. Because I do when I do, especially if I do steaks or something sous vide and roast, and I need just something to get a quick sear, and I don't want to take the time to fire up charcoal and wait for it to do. I can just turn that sear box on and get a quick sear, but
Yeah.
I'm like you. I've had gas grills through, my life that you end up having to, spend, 70-80 bucks to get the guts fixed every couple of years because they rust out and, there's not much
That
flavor.
they get so filthy, you know, because
Yeah.
unlike charcoal where your grease is falling in and most of that's getting burnt out, you know, burned away, on a gas grill, it just gets all in the bottom. Of course, you got the catch pan that's supposed to catch a lot of that, but it don't catch it all. You know, it's a real chore to keep those clean. You know, is what I've found.
And there's no added flavor to it either. Like you said, it's just, it's plain Jane. Like I said, I've never really did. When I first got into grilling with charcoal, as I said, I had a couple gas grills, and it's like, I'm not going to spend money on these anymore because
Yeah,
you got to get them fixed every couple of years because they rust out. And
yeah.
it's just the flavor's not as good, and so I always go back to charcoal and wood. So
I think it was probably the early to mid '90s. I bought a Sunbeam gas grill. You know, thought I wanted one, thought I needed one. And 1 year later, I was replacing the burner in that thing, you know. So I replaced it, got another year out of it. It needed another burner. So I just got rid of it. I'm like, I'm not going to do this every year. You know, no way.
So
And
what's the favorite grill you got right now? Because I know you got a few of them. So what's the favorite one you like to not that you like to shoot videos for, that you're obligated to, the one that you go, I can't wait to cook on this grill and roll it out of the driveway?
that would be my offset, my Lone Star Grills offset. Absolutely love it. It's a lot of work. You got to tend the wood, but I like it mainly because I can get the best flavor from that compared to anything else that I own. Now I'm really loving the Santa Maria. It is something totally different and great flavor on that. But I would say the offset is still my favorite above all. It just is.
And I've had an offset before, but that was years ago, and it was a cheap one. I think I got it Home Depot or Sears or someplace like that, so it didn't last very long. So I haven't, I guess, given them a chance,
Well,
recently.
I almost got totally turned off on them because I bought an offset probably about 5 or 6 years ago from Academy, and I think it was built by Kingsford, and it had this. I didn't know much about them. I'd be honest, I didn't realize that you really need that beef in them, the heavy metal and stuff like that. And it had a little rinky-dink firebox made out of sheet metal. And man, this thing was a fuel hog. You could not get your temperatures up. And I'm talking about from the very first cook. That was my experience. And I was so disappointed in it. I ended up giving it to my oldest son. I said, here, you can use it for a grill. Forget the offset part of it. It's no good. And that completely turned me off on ever owning another offset. And eventually I ended up getting the Lone Star Grills, worked out a thing with them. And man, what a difference. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
I can see that where, something that's a lot, cheaper made and stuff that doesn't work quite like something that it's like the ceramic grills. I first started with an Acorn, the steel one made by Char Griller,
yeah,
and just to see if I like that type of grill, the Kamado type grill, because I didn't want to spend, $900 to $1,000, $1,200 on a grill and go, I don't like this type of cooking. So I bought the cheaper, $250 metal,
right,
version, and kind of learned how to use that. And then realized that, yeah, I like that type of cooking. I like that type of cooker. So now I'm going to go ahead and invest the money on something that I know is going to be a much better product. So,
right,
I think
exactly.
they're good for that. But then again, like you said, it could also spoil you to where you think it's the cooking, the style of the grill instead of the actual cheapness of the grill itself. So it kind of gave you a bad taste of, of the
Yeah,
stick
it
burner
did.
and but see, I was, because I got involved in the Kamado Guru, and people were say the same thing. Don't judge, what a regular ceramic grill can do compared to that, but at least the style of cooking you can learn and figure it out. And then when you do upgrade, you got that part handled, and that's what I did. And within 6 or 8 months, I decided, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull a trigger on the Big Joe, and that's what I did. So, but
Right.
I totally understand what you're coming from on that, but. Another thing, I see, the stick burners, you got to spend a lot of time with it, feeding the wood and making sure you put just enough wood in at the right time to keep that temperature going too. So,
And I think that's what I like about it. It's more of a challenge, you know what I'm saying? Instead of using your vents like you do on a Kamado to really dial that temperature in, you're having to build the right size fire with the right amount of airflow. Your stack is always wide open, so the only one you're really adjusting is your lower one. And I don't even adjust that. I'll leave that wide open, and I'm adjusting my heat strictly by the size of the fire or how many splits I'm burning at one time. And the time of the year can affect that also. In the heat of the summer, this black pit, I mean, the sun can get it up to 130 degrees all on its own, so it's not going to require much of a fire in there to get it on up to the 225, 250 range. So it's more of a challenge, and I've got it figured out. It took me about 3 or 4 cooks, and I said, I got this, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
so you said you do most of your cooking like in your driveway. You just roll the cookers out and start
Yeah.
cooking. How do your neighbors feel about that? Do they look forward to that? Do they know that they're going to get a little bit of whatever Russ is cooking when he rolls that cooker out?
I never see my neighbors really, the lady right next door, I'll see them coming and going somewhat, and it's never been an issue as far as that goes. Now I will cook in the back. Matter of fact, my offset that I'm speaking of, I've got the off-road package on it now, which enabled me to put it anywhere. So it's all the way in the back. I've got a little utility shed in the back. It's parked right in front of that with a cover, a canopy over it. And when I use it, I go back there to shoot the video nowadays, But my biggest problem with that is the same neighbor has 3 dogs, and oh my Lord, they come out, and they're just raising all kind of heck, and it's just, you got to wait for them to calm down before you can continue on shooting a video.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't shoot outside a lot on my patio, but it's just because of that. Right when you start talking, all of a sudden a plane starts going overhead, or somebody starts mowing their yard. The pit. So let me ask you. Let's talk about sous vide. Have you ever tried using sous vide, cooking sous vide? Have you played around with it?
I really need to get into that. I did purchase the old style sous vide, which is just the tub, that that heats up. It didn't have the circulator or anything like that. And I did a steak, a ribeye, or a couple of ribeye steaks in it. And I really didn't know what I was doing. I forget how long I went. I forget the temperature I did it at. But to me, it changed the texture. So obviously I went too long, But that was the one and only time I just kind of played around with it. And I told myself, I said, I'm just going to not fool with that until I get a decent circulator or something, and really take the time to learn it, And I've seen the results. I've watched your videos. I've watched some how to sous vide everything with Guga, and the technique, man, is you can't beat it because it's foolproof,
Well, I highly suggest you check out Greg's book because he's got sous vide barbecue is one of his books on Amazon. He's had out for a couple of years, and it goes into the techniques and all that, both barbecue and sous vide, and how they can work together. But it's definitely
I've actually got that book. I got that book. I just haven't taken the time to really read it. When he first came out with that book, I ordered it instantly. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to this new book, the one he's got with the sauces. That's something that I would definitely use a lot,
Yeah, that's coming out soon, and he's working on a burger book that I can't wait for that one to come out because he's the king of burgers. So
there ain't no doubt about it.
So what's in your future? What do you plan on doing with the channel and everything else?
I'm just going to keep plugging away at it and try to figure angles to grow it and kind of gain more popularity in it. That's about all I can do. Like I said, I'm thinking of ways to kind of reinvent myself without changing too much. You got to be who you are, you got to be what got you where you at without changing too much, but maybe in the way of the video style or something like that, but for now, I'll just keep plugging away. I am 61. And so I see retirement probably in the next year or so, and maybe I can dedicate more time to it. I would love to be able to come out with at least 2 videos a week, instead of 1 like I do currently. And I think that alone would help boost the channel as well,
I've seen you've started doing some stuff on Facebook. Did they come to you to try to get you to start putting some stuff up on them for monetization as well? Or
yeah, it was about a year ago, and they reached out to me, and Greg was also part of that. And I don't know who else, but I know me and Greg was doing it. And all we had to do was just put a video up once a week. It was 6 months. All right. I forget how many weeks that was exactly, but it was for 6 months, 1 a week. If you don't put one up that week, you don't get paid, but you didn't have to make special content. You could use whatever you used on YouTube. So I went back to, I keep everything on external hard drives, and I went back mainly through a lot of my older videos, and I had to do some re-edits because they didn't want any kind of product placements. And so I had to cut, all that out and just turn it into a video about whatever it is I'm cooking. And that little gig was pretty sweet. It paid $10,000 once it's all said and done. 6 months worth of videos once a week, and they paid you monthly, And but you topped out at 10,000, and I could still post videos now. They changed your entire page to where you got a studio creator like we do on YouTube. You can go in there and upload, and they would still be monetized. But to me, it's almost like starting over again because of, they helped promote the videos that we were putting up during that 6 months. They had them out there, and my channel likes went from 14,000 likes is what my page had. Now I'm at 147,000 likes. And that was during that 6 month span. So they really threw us out there and grew our channel, not our channels, but our Facebook page as well,
Now, is that something they just did as a test basis, or is that something that they're, to test out their monetization program? Because I've looked at it, and John's looked at it, and it's, it in order for somebody else to qualify, it's
possibly, but I think they were mainly trying to get more creators involved, trying to, they're wanting to kind of be not a threat, but I guess competitor to YouTube. And I don't know that they'll ever achieve that. It's just two different platforms. I still prefer YouTube over that. And the people, I can't believe the difference in people. The YouTube viewers versus the people that view your stuff on Facebook. Man, there's a lot of haters on Facebook, with the derogatory comments and all that. I wouldn't even read the comments. It got to that level. I just said, okay, give me the money. And when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, just to me, it seems like the goals and stuff in order to be able to get monetized are set a lot higher than what YouTube is. So it doesn't even, even John said, at Man Cave Meals, like he'll never even hit him with just the amount of stuff that he gets now. He's just you got to be pretty much semi already famous to be able to hit that stuff. So
yeah. Well, like I said, when that was over with, I hung around and kept posting videos just to see what kind of money it would generate. And it went down to a little bit of nothing, $30, $40. I'm like, okay, this isn't even worth my effort. I just need to focus on YouTube. And I might put one up sporadically, you know what I'm saying? But I do product placements, and that in itself is a pain when you have to go in there and, edit that out and different things like that. But
yeah,
but it was a good deal while it lasted.
Great. Well, okay then. Well, I want to thank you, Russ. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Really enjoyed talking to you. I hope our listeners got a lot out of it. I hope to have you on again sometime soon. And
sure. I enjoyed it.
Anything else you want to talk about or discuss before we wrap this up?
No, nothing I can think of. I appreciate you having me on, Darren.
What do you got coming up? You said you got some turkey videos coming up. What else you got coming up on the videos?
I'm actually sitting on a video right now of a shrimp boil. The guy that owns Boil Boss came 2 weekends ago, and he's got a new product that he's introducing. It will be the first time that it's ever been shown, and all I'm waiting on is the green light. His website is being revamped, and he told me tomorrow night it should go live. So Wednesday morning I should be able to release that if that happens. And then I've got another video I shot yesterday, which is just the big, thick ribeye steaks, showing how to do a reverse sear on a Santa Maria. And
awesome.
And that's the next two videos. And I want to do a turkey video like in the first week of November. And I'm going to do that win, lose, or draw. I've got to get that up.
Well, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it. I look forward to those videos. Make sure, if you're listening, make sure you check out Russ's YouTube channel. Check him out on Facebook. I'm going to post links in the description below, but it's Smoky Ribs Barbecue on YouTube and Facebook. And Russ Jones, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for following us on the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. Well, thanks for joining us again here on the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I want to thank Mr. Russ Jones from Smoky Ribs Barbecue YouTube channel for joining us again. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel and Facebook page on the links below in the description. Also, make sure you check out Inkbird. Inkbird makes some great barbecue and sous vide products. Check them out in the listing below as well. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Make sure you follow us on our YouTube channel, Fire and Water Cooking, and I'll see you again on the next Fire and Water Cooking Podcast.